the February 18th meeting of the Oklahoma City Waters Utilities Trust be in order. And the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 4th meeting.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. Or is there questions or comments? Hearing none, voting please. Minutes are approved. Next item is a consent docket.
Move the consent docket subject to individual consideration.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Are there matters to be discussed separately? Have comments? Hearing none, voting please. Consent docket's approved. Next item, item 4, the concurrence docket. 2 items.
Move approval subject to individual consideration.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the concurrence docket. Either of the matters need to be discussed separately? Hearing none, voting please. Concurrence docket approved. Item 5, items for individual consideration. First item is a park improvement maintenance agreement between the city and the Oklahoma City Downtown Lions Club to maintain Lions Children's Park at 9050 Lake Hefner Parkway.
Move approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the park improvement and maintenance agreement. Is there anyone here on that matter? Okay. Voting, please. It's approved. Last item is executive session. I understand we do need executive session today.
Yes, sir.
Have a motion.
Move we enter into executive session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. We'll do that at the heel of the docket.
Okay.
Next matter is item from trustees. Are there any trustees have a comment? Next matter, General Manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, there are 2 reports on your agenda today. The first is about water pumpage and lake levels. Lake levels are consistent with this time of year with a drier than normal January in our past. Things are walking along at really relatively normal levels, but a bit low. The forecast is still, though, for a normally wet spring. Wanted to draw your attention to the fact that meter sales do continue to be above average. We're at about 32% higher than last year at this time, with 2,775 meters sold. And again, we think that a significant portion of that change is related to apartments going to individual meters.
Okay.
Although we appreciate from this morning's council presentations that we are also enjoying a higher than normal growth rate the last couple of years. The second report is about addendas, amendments, and change orders in our contracts. And our purpose there is just to let you know that we've closed out 179 construction contracts in the last 4.5 years. And of those, we've taken 3.8 average total actions in addition to the contract award. That is an addenda, an amendment, or a change order individually. A total of 3.8 actions per contract. That's important because we like to look at the overall workload that produces and how we manage those kinds of changes to be as effective as possible with them. We owe you information, though, about the work days. I think also coming to our attention is just the total number of work days allowed, how we set the total number of days, and then what kinds of processes we use to change those total number of days. It can play a significant role in the cost of projects if we miss the total number of days. So we'll be coming back with more information. I'm happy to answer questions.
Mr. Chairman, I think we can go back to the water status report. I think it's helpful to reflect about how bad the situation last year, because if you take a look at the January of 13 numbers, and that's the time we were contemplating and ultimately took the release from Canton, you take a look at that, Hefner was down 16 feet at that time, verging on a record. Overholser, which of course are smallest of the reservoirs, was down only 7 feet, but it was down to less than 43% of its total capacity because it's such a shallow reservoir. You look at Draper was down nearly 20 feet at that point in time. Atoka was down over 11 feet, but again, 52% of the capacity of Atoka was down, and McGee Creek was down 10 feet. And you take a look at that, the best of the lakes at that time was probably Canton at that point in time. I know we've been criticized about taking the water, but there was no outlook of relief in sight, and the rest of the lakes were really in a severe situation. And I know it's easy to second guess what we've done in the past, but if you take a look at the picture of what we were up against at that point in time, it at least I think makes one think that it was reasonable to do what was done last.
Along those lines, the House elected Jeff Hickman, Representative Hickman from Tacoma, I think. That's where he's from, but Canton is in his district. I really believe that's an opportunity for us. I think if we have a chance, he's got a reputation of being a very reasonable individual, and he's kind of on that point out there, and I think we ought to look at that as an opportunity to try to get a better working relationship with the whole Northwest Oklahoma City Oklahoma contingents. Along those lines, I've been meeting with a group, and Jim has been with them once, that is talking about trying to pull something together to get a more global view of how we deal with water across the state. One of the possibilities is that we may take a group to Israel sometime in the early summer, with the idea in mind that Israel is probably the most advanced nation in the world with regard to conserving water, because they don't have any, and they have to use treated salt water for all their water supplies and then reuse it. They reuse 72% of the water that they take the salt out of. They reuse 72% of that for agricultural purposes. So that's kind of something that we could learn from. And if the trip includes the right people, which I think it will, give us an opportunity to talk to some of the people that we've been kind of crossways with in the past, and hopefully do a better job of communicating with each other in that regard. Anything else? We are to executive session.